Thanks for joining us for another episode of eCommerce Australia. We are joined today by Sam Wood. Now, Sam recently got voted number 10 in the 2025 Inside Retailer Top 50 People in E-commerce for Australia. So I'm very excited to have Sam join us. We talk about where Azura Fashion Group came from, the various platforms that they have now underneath them. So Azura Runway, Azura Exchange. Sam talks a lot about AI and how he's utilizing AI technology to help with the pre-loved garment industry for luxury retailers, how he solves the problem of moving through inventory for luxury retailers as well. We talk a lot about the state of e-commerce, but also that re-commerce opportunities and how luxury brands are starting to tap into that with Azura Fashion Group as well. And lastly, if you're sitting home using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is and you cannot find your brand on there, hit the AIO audit button below. Pat and I would love to do an AIO audit for you and show you exactly why you're not being found on the AI search engines and what you can do about it. Hope you enjoy this one with Sam. Cheers. Welcome to eCommerce Australia, joined today by CEO and founder of Azura Fashion Group, and recently voted number 10 in the Inside Retail Top 50 People in Ecom for 2026. Big welcome to the podcast, Sam Wood.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Looking forward to it, mate. I had a quick study of your LinkedIn, and it looks like you've got a very in-depth career when it comes to the full bottle of sales, marketing, and e-commerce. And it looks like you started Azura Fashion Group in about 2019. So keen to understand what was the motivations behind starting Azura Fashion Group. Before you go into that, I did notice you had another earlier business called Azura Modeling, I think. So where does the Azura name come from?
I think the Azura name back then, we found it kind of meant confident or beautiful. And that's what we kind of went with. And we had a modeling agency at that stage that was all around. It was mainly a modeling agency designed to help the Women's Breast Cancer Foundation to raise money through fashion shows and other events. So the name Azura kind of stuck. And then when we launched Azura Fashion Group, the name just really resonated with me. And I guess it was confidence in delivering a service and delivering quality products was kind of what came out of it.
Yeah, nice. And so you started, according to LinkedIn anyway, started Azura Fashion Group in 2019. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but obviously, less than 1 year into it, and then we got hit with the lockdowns and pandemic and all that. So it would have been interesting there. But what was the reason behind starting that business initially?
The main reason was we found that it was all through the media actually, where Louis Vuitton, Burberry, and other bigger name brands were all through the news around burning excess products to kind of keep them out of outlet stores, discount stores. So they were getting rid of these products to kind of create scarcity and kind of control that price in the market. So there was obviously a huge uproar around that and around sustainability and circularity. So what we decided to do was start to approach some of these brands directly and their distributors to look at how we can work with them to help sell their off-season and past-season products without having to push them into outlet stores or any kind of heavily discounted kind of ways. And that's kind of where we started the business, and it was just me sitting on LinkedIn and the phone just calling different boutiques and brands, and it happened to be the first brand that we picked up was Dolce & Gabbana. So it was
nice.
Kind of a great little win from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And so where did you start? Because I know there's a few brands that sort of sit underneath Azura Fashion. You've got Azura Runway, Azura Exchange, Azura Reborn, and Azura Reborn Resell. Which one was the first one?
Azura Runway was the first one. So Azura Runway was kind of our direct-to-consumer website. So when we first approached these brands, we needed a site to advertise and to promote. And that's really where we drive the traffic in the beginning.
Okay, yeah. And so you started off with Dolce & Gabbana. So do you take, by the sounds of it, you don't take any inventory into your possession? Do they physically still have it there and then you sell them on your platform, or are you plugged into sort of marketplaces, or how does Dolce & Gabbana sort of do, plug into you guys in the system?
Yeah, so we started approaching their number one distributors, and they introduced us to a few different people. And it was always the very same story, which was they would buy from Dolce in bulk, and they would get a kind of container or a pallet of different items. Then they would on-sell those pallets to other retailers, department stores. but always be left over with the odd sizes, the ones and the twos, and have no real way of getting rid of them or selling them. So
Okay.
what we decided to do then was create a Azura runway and create a platform where they could upload those products into our system, and then we would be able to sell those ones and twos in a way that they would keep the items still in their warehouse, and once the item had been sold, we would then place the order through them. And rather than just using the whole direct-to-consumer model, we decided to partner with the retailers as well. So we started a partnership with the likes of your eBays, your Amazons, Catches of the Days, MySale at the beginning, and it kind of really built out from there. And really from that point, it just really took off. So we had these highly sought after products that were, I guess, well priced, but also just items that weren't available anywhere else really in Australia at the time. So we kind of then launched onto the Iconic and launched onto other marketplaces, and then really built that out to other brands and other distributors around the world, to a point now to a point then we were selling across 60 different marketplaces and retailers around the world. And we had operations then in Australia, New Zealand, the UK, all over Europe, as well as the US. And that's kind of probably the first 2 years of Azura was really just building that model out and really fine-tuning that model of being this luxury fashion distribution company that can really get these products that most other people couldn't.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So what is to stop those brands from sort of doing that themselves? Like what's the reason that they come to you, or what's the problem that you provide that they couldn't do themselves?
So I think most of these brands don't want to work with multiple
Yeah.
marketplaces. I guess they want to have like if you go into Dolce & Gabbana store now or a Gucci store now, what we have listed on our site is going to be very different to what they have.
Yeah.
They want to hold the current season models. They want to focus on maybe 5 to or maybe 50 staple products that they do really well. With these distributors, they've got all these pieces that they want to move, but they need to take the good with the bad. Or for example, a Dolce and Gabbana suit XXXL might not sell well in Europe, but it would sell well in Australia, the US, New Zealand. And I guess that's really where we started the process. Was we came in as that kind of positioning. So we fixed the pain point of these odd sizes or these bigger sizes, these off-season, past-season products. We were able to really liquidate those and move them without actually causing any upfront cash injections from the boutiques or from the brands themselves. We were just an extension to their already existing sales channels.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. And that's not something that I ever really thought of until you just raised that around. Yeah. Different countries have, more popular sizes than others, depending on, all sorts of different lifestyle factors. So, and then obviously they want to keep their premium and their luxury and their current season when it comes to those luxury brands. What sort of brands you mentioned Dolce and Gabbana come on early, but what are some of the brands that you're working with nowadays that people can jump on and check out the website?
So I think we pivoted into a few different verticals. So we've looked into got into now the pre-loved side as well. So we also do pre-loved luxury bags. So we move bags like Hermes, and we do Versace, Louis Vuitton. And now we've also gotten into watches as well. So we do Rolex watches, Tag watches, and as well as obviously getting into the more luxury side of things with the newer items we're ready to wear. So we do things from YSL, anything from Prada, Gucci. I think there's probably about 1,200 brands we work with in
Wow.
total. So it all comes through kind of very similar distributors. We have quite a large operation now based in Milan. I would say 80% of our stock now comes out of Milan.
Okay.
But I think that's probably the real piece of the distribution side. And I guess at any one point now we have about 500,000 products in our feeds that go out to retailers all over the world. And yeah.
Fantastic. So with that many products and not actually having the physical kind of warehouse to actually have to own them is it's obviously a great position to be in. What's the biggest challenge that you guys face at the moment in terms of business? Is it getting more eyeballs to the website, or is it tech and AI? I know you're very AI focused, and your background suggests that you've utilized a lot of AI implementation even before it became a sexy term to use. So what's the biggest challenge that you see for Azura Fashion Group in 2026?
I guess that's probably the kind of it leads into the question before with how the business kind of evolved with tech, and I guess that is the part that was the most biggest challenge for us probably 2 years ago, where a lot of the brands don't want you to use their existing images, they don't want to use their existing descriptions because they want their website to stand out differently than any other retailers that would do it. So
Okay.
most of the time, boutiques or wholesalers, distributors would take their own images and of the products, and usually they're taken by warehouse staff or people that don't really have that creative eye, or they wouldn't be up to marketplace standards like your Farfetches or your Iconics, where they require certain, like for example, 2000 by 2000 grayscale background. They need the model numbers, they need the bar, all that information. None of that information was provided to us when we kind of onboard these products.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we had a team that would kind of manually try and find it and go through it all, but 500,000 products, that's not scalable. So we approached Microsoft at the time and said, look, this is what we're trying to achieve and build. We did a pre-series or a first series of investment where we would raise money to build out this kind of legacy platform where it took in data feeds from boutiques and suppliers and then used AI to then enrich the images, recreate the images, and build out the data points from there. That's now evolved to a point now where we work the whole model works off GCP and with Google, and we actually get products into our system now. We use Google to then recreate all of the images, so our images are unique to any other website or any other platform. It puts it into the right sizing for different marketplaces and retailers. We take in a product that might have title, maybe description, maybe a SKU code, and we both go and fill out a 100-point attribute which has the model numbers, how to wear it, what to wear it with, the story behind it if it's a pre-loved item, and also we sell through multiple countries, so we have multiple languages that it goes across as well.
Wow.
It really
Jeez.
builds out that entire model, and it gives us the ability then to be able to list these products out across multiple marketplaces without actually having to do any manual kind of work. And then for 2026, now we've gone through that journey. What we are starting to become now, or what we are becoming, because we built this entire infrastructure around our business, what we are wanting to do now is go out to other businesses, whether it be in the fashion vertical or other verticals completely, and actually offer that as a platform, as a service, or an infrastructure as a service, to be able to say, hey, you have all these products here, use our system to be able to get you across multiple marketplaces, retailers, or even your own website. We'll do all of the enrichment, all of the AI, but we'll also give you this infrastructure behind it too, which includes the warehouse. That includes the shipping rates we use, includes the returns, the buyback system. So it's the whole entire infrastructure piece, which for us now, we want Azura to be the infrastructure behind the e-commerce industry moving forward. So think of like the NVIDIA. We want that. We want to be that for the foreseeable future in terms of like where our Azura suite of services will play out.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. That's huge. Who are some of the players that you're targeting, or who are some of the businesses that would be kind of big enough to use that tech, or can it apply across small, medium to enterprise level clients?
Yeah, so I think in terms of who that would be, I think we're looking at different kind of entry points of what that might envision and what they might do. So that could be businesses that are looking to expand their local stores. So that could be someone like you see Folly or Zimmerman or Kasubi, or it could be anyone out to smaller players that are wanting to really grow that expansion. I guess the biggest thing that we've found with this service now is the proof's in the pudding with what we've already done for ourselves. So we know what the return on investment is for this through this piece. So it is very easy for us to quantify and say, all right, you're doing $10,000 revenue, we'll make it 100, or you're doing
Okay.
$100,000 revenue, we'll make it $1 million, or whatever it might be. Because all we're really doing is getting more eyeballs to those products. You're not paying a cost per click, or you're not paying one of those kind of things. But what we are doing is we are listing these products across multiple marketplaces. We're enriching the data to a point where the data is kind of A+ content. Your data is completely different. We can have a different image on every single site you're selling on, so it looks completely different. And it really builds out that piece around being everywhere at once, but also having the best content everywhere. So when people start searching your brands, you start popping up everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So they might have it doesn't really matter what size business they are. Essentially, if they don't have enough eyeballs on on a certain product, then they get in touch with you, and then you can connect them and enrich the data, as you said, so it makes it all look quite unique and different to each platform. And then they can get eyeballs onto each product or collections in a lot more detail through those marketplace channels.
Correct. So we took a brand, one of our pilot brands we took, which was 3-month-old company, was selling luxury lingerie, and in the second month of working with us, they're now doing $450,000 a month. They don't do any marketing. It's all purely through eyeballs, being in the right place, being at the right market, right demographic for those products.
Yeah, okay. That's fantastic. So I mean, obviously this is probably going to be a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway because people know that I can ask them. You're thinking marketplaces are the future of e-commerce?
Yes. I think marketplace is definitely the future. But it's being at the right marketplaces. There are a lot of marketplaces that are, I guess, doing pros and cons for the marketplaces. Some marketplaces can help you, some marketplaces can hinder you. That's probably the biggest thing, is being strategic in terms of where you go. Like when we started this journey, we got up to about 60 marketplaces around the world. We now sell across 28. So we've pulled back off a lot of marketplaces that were actually more damaging than good.
Yeah. And so by that, you're talking about brand protections. Maybe it's a cheap and nasty marketplace. Let's just call them that discount, everything's heavily discounted, and you don't want your brand to sort of be represented there, or does nothing for your brand, as opposed to some better high quality ones that focus on, quality, trusted products, that sort of thing.
Yeah, correct. And also like returns and other ways around fees and other things like that. So
okay,
returns for any e-commerce businesses is kind of the Achilles heel. So I guess there's no point going live on a marketplace doing $1 million in sales and then 60% of it comes back.
Yeah, true. You talk to me about the resale opportunity that's sort of starting to build some momentum now, and I've had Ben Chamberlain from Authentified come on and talk about the re-commerce industry holistically and his solution to it. Can you take us through the journey from a user point of view? If they've got let's call it a Dolce & Gabbana jacket and they want to resale that, what's the process, and how do you guys where do you play a role in that in the execution of that?
Yeah, so our website, buyback.azura reborn, that website is purely for customers to sell their bags or their items back to us. How the process works is they would go onto the site, they would upload some images and talk about the condition. It would come through to our team. We would then look at the product and see if that's product that, in terms of matches the images. We then would give them an offer in terms of what we would pay for that item. Once they've accepted the offer, they would send the item into our processing facility, which is in Newcastle. They would then go through a physical authentication, and then from that point, it would then go through another digital authentication to then give it a QR code and say, yes, this item is 100% real, which is the same process we use for pre-loved when we source it. And then they would have money in their account within 3 days.
Okay, so it's not reliant upon that garment being sold. You're essentially taking a risk that you'll, based on the data and everything, you think you can sell that item for a certain price, and so you'll take that on board?
Correct. And I guess that's the difference between us and other models out there, is we're not asking you to send an item to us. We list it on our site, and then when it sells, we'll send you the money. I guess what we're trying to do is we are backing ourselves in terms of, we have a huge network now. I think in terms of the audience size we have is close to 200 million people. So if we can take this item and then we know the data on it, we'll be able to sell it within the next 2 months. So I guess it's quite compelling for us, but at the same time, we're focusing on this whole circularity piece, and pre-loved for us is about 40% of our revenue. So we're really trying to give products a second go, or really push them out there and give them a new lease of life, really.
Yeah. And do the brands, do you only take certain brands, similar to what you do with Azura Runway, you're working with luxury brands? Is it still focused on that luxury piece as well?
It is currently, yes. So we do only focus purely on the luxury piece, because the marketplaces we are connected to, like your Farfetches, your Myers, your Iconics, and your Central in Thailand, and your other marketplaces around the world, they're all geared up for luxury. So we wouldn't be able to take kind of a more high street brand and have the same confidence, because we don't have the same audience for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we've spoken about different countries, and I noticed that in your sort of background, you've got some history of success when it comes to e-commerce in China. Is that a market that you can tap into with Azure?
It is, and I guess that's probably the biggest one of our biggest kind of growing points at the moment is focusing on the Chinese market, and the way they operate is ideal for businesses like ours because they have almost a 0% return rate. So for us, we
Really?
send a lot of items into our warehouse in Milan, and then Milan would basically ship them directly into China. And once they're there, that's kind of it, unless there's a faulty item or something along those lines. But it is quite low. So where you've got other markets like Germany, for example, where the customer is so attuned to buying, say, 3 pairs of jeans, trying them on, and then sending 2 back. So it's really understanding which countries work well, which countries are not. I recently came back from a trip to Thailand, and we did a deal with a company called Central there, which is the equivalent of a Westfield here. So it's really getting out there and doing more business with department stores in these regions. And China obviously is a huge opportunity.
Yeah. So if there's brands listening to this that are keen to get their products listed and sold through China with I think it's just becoming more and more popular now with the global kind of situation that's going on at the moment, plus the volume going through. I think more and more brands that I'm speaking to are wanting to be able to find a solution to get into that market as well. Fantastic. So when it comes to sort of Azure Runway, are you just predominantly utilizing marketplaces to get eyeballs on that? Do you do any kind of marketing yourself, paid ads, SEO, Google ads, content to get people to the Azure Runway website? Or is that just kind of a website that all the marketplaces then feed into and you do more sales in the marketplaces than your own store?
Yeah, correct. So the marketplace model for us is 99% of our business.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Azura Runway is a website that we kind of keep up to kind of showcase the products we carry, but also we offer regular campaigns out to our kind of closed group audience on the site as well. We have done in the past a lot of work with Google to kind of promote that store, but at the same time, we don't want to be cannibalizing our sales through marketplaces by promoting our own store as well. So it's kind of a catch-22, but at the moment, Azure Runway is purely just to showcase the pieces we have, to trial new technology, to trial the new components we're doing with the images and the translations and the information gathering. But it still generates quite good revenue for zero marketing.
Okay. Yeah, right. So I would imagine like there's a lot of people that have purchased from those marketplaces from brands that's sort of been through Azura, but they don't really know that it's from Azura. Is that right?
Some do.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, some marketplaces we work with, they are Azure is kind of something silent in the background, where other marketplaces like Maya and Iconic, where you can see Azure quite clearly on there. It's pre-loved by Azure Reborn,
Okay.
or in Europe it's Azure brought to you by Azure Runway. So it depends. It really all depends on case by case the marketplace we work with. But more than usually, we like to kind of be at the forefront because when customers research us and look at how kind of authentic or how vigorous our authentication process is, they know they can buy with confidence around this is going to be a Gucci, not a Gucky.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I guess it's all about trust, isn't it?
Correct, yeah.
In terms of like, where does Australia sit, and where in terms of like the resale market, what like globally are we ahead of the curve, or are we slow to take up that sort of resale market? Do you think that that's one of the biggest areas for opportunity in e-com in 2026?
I think Australia's probably 3 years behind the rest of the world in terms of
Okay.
the retail market. I guess Iconic and Maya are obviously doing a really good job in terms of leading that kind of awareness of what they are. But yeah, pre-loved in other countries is quite large. China being number one is very high in terms of their Korea. South Korea is really conquering there too. But then you've got Europe, the US, UK. But Australia is still, I think, in that educational phase. I think it's still people are looking at different markets and different positioning around what the brand kind of says in terms of the ethos. I think more and more now people are turning to pre-loved as, besides the circularity option or the sustainability option, it's also a way of getting into brands for the first time. So, for example, with the Hermes Birkin bag, you can't walk into a store and buy a Birkin bag. Same with the Rolex watch. where customers are now finding that by going through the pre-loved space or buying through pre-loved, one, they can get access to that product straight away, but also it moves them across on that wait list to buy a brand new one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense. And so with the pre-loved purchases, how closely do you work with the brands? Like what sort of information do the brands get that, hey, someone's purchased in a pre-loved item as opposed to a new? Is there any kind of communication in between or sharing of knowledge between those two, or is it quite separate due to
Yeah,
privacy and data?
yeah, it is quite separate. I guess we don't get given any kind of customer data from the brands or from the retailers, and the same thing we don't kind of hand that data out either because we are a global company. Knowing the different restrictions in different countries, it varies significantly. Like obviously Australia has the quite strict laws. The UK have quite very strict laws. So it's really around having a very general opinion, which is say 30 plus year old woman from Soho in London love Moschino kind of bags. So we kind of know that level of data to be able to know where we should promote these products.
Okay. Awesome, mate. Before I get on to sort of the top 10 position or the number 10 position in inside retail, and I just want to talk to you about what that means and how that process was. Just your takeaway message to people that are listening there that are curious to sort of find out more. What's the ideal kind of brand or the ideal scenario that Azura could work with and help them to get into more marketplaces?
So I guess now we have those two different rails in terms of offerings. So in terms of the wholesale and the retail side, which is we buy wholesale, sell retail, they are brands that are well known or have a global footprint. One thing we are not is a marketing agency, so we can't say to a brand, let's go take a no-name Australian brand and list it out across marketplaces and expect it to sell. That's something that we don't do. So that's probably the first piece. So if it's a brand that has an international presence, then yes, we can definitely work with them around that wholesale piece. In terms of the infrastructure piece, it's a little bit different in terms of we don't need to buy wholesale, sell retail. We don't get in between the money flow or the financial flow in any way. What we do is offer a service, which is we will go through our system, enriching all of the product information, the images, the entire piece, list you out across marketplaces, give you the best opportunity to be successful, which we know we have the proof for now. And then with that kind of option, really any business could be be suitable for that because we have the data there to kind of do it. They're not taking a hit on the wholesale price, that they're basically selling it full retail across these marketplaces. So if they want to market through these retailers or market through these platforms, they can. I guess that's
Okay.
probably the biggest piece, and I think that's where the business is probably leaning more towards now and really focusing on that platform as a service piece because really anybody could be our customer, and I think by doing it, it enables these customers or these brands to be able to get multiple sales. It helps them move off season, past season, new season. It just gives them the best opportunity to be successful. And we are very kind of hands-on with what we do. Obviously, we're not an agency. We are we're an e-commerce business first that turned into a tech business. So I guess the technology behind it all is around we can do this enrichment process for you because we already know it's worked with our own brands.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. And I'd imagine you've got so much data on all different sort of points that you can utilize for your advantage as well.
Yeah, correct. And I think that and the biggest thing we find as well, like if you change a title or you change an image on eBay or on Farfetch, the difference in terms of conversion rate is massive. So
Okay.
it's that kind of knowledge behind it to know exactly what works where.
Yeah. And what's the first step for them, mate? Do they reach out to you? Do we send them to a website? Is there a demo call? What's the sort of first step that people need to take?
Yeah, so I think that the first step would be our corporate site, azurafashiongroup.com. That's where customers can go and learn more about obviously what we do, mainly around the wholesale and the retail side of things. But by inquiring there, we can then roll out what we would do for both the infrastructure piece and the kind of the retail piece. And then once they contact us, we can then kind of have a conversation with them, work through what works, what doesn't work, and then we can kind of gear it up for success.
Fantastic. Well, mate, yeah, thanks for sharing all of that knowledge and insight. And just before I go, do you guys use Athos Commerce? What's the connection with, and I can edit this bit out, but what's the connection with you and Kate from Athos Search Spring?
So I think the biggest thing we found with Azura Runway and other retails was having 500,000 products, the data being not consistent at the time, and it being all over the place. Like we had almost 1,200 different colors. So we needed a tool that could really pull that all together. So when retailers or customers landed on the website, it wasn't just endless filters. So I think for us, Athos kind of worked quite well around kind of pulling those pieces together and making sure it was succinct and kind of digestible. And then it gave us also the footprint to know what we needed to do on the back end to get it to that point. Because the biggest thing like we find is obviously you've got marketplaces like Farfetch that require color codes to match the brand color code, not red, blue, yellow. But then you've got other marketplaces that require red, blue, yellow. So there's no one size fits all. You can't just dump all of the colors into your primary colors. You need to have that data in the back end to be able to link to certain products and certain colors.
Okay, and Athos has helped with that.
In
Yep.
terms
Yep.
of simplifying how we do it definitely.
Okay, fantastic, mate. Well, yeah, last point I wanted to just go through was just talk us through. You got voted number 10 for Inside Retail for this year. What was the process behind that? How was the vote sort of counted? Did you have to go on a campaign and campaign yourself, or was it you submit a piece of work, or you submit something and then people, the industry experts vote on it and they come out with the ranking?
Yeah, I think we submitted a piece of work. We submitted our submission, and then they had a group of judges that kind of went through all those submissions and kind of picked who was the most suitable for it all. So it was a good shock, and it was much well appreciated, and yeah, I think it was a nice surprise, really.
Yeah, nice. And are you someone that sits comfortably with the limelight, or not as much?
It's nice to kind of could be recognised and everything else. Public speaking is definitely not my strong suit. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it has been a journey for the last seven years. So it is always good to be recognised for it.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's a really notable achievement, and it sounds like what you've started to build, even with the roles that you had pre 2019, but now with the Zero Fashion Group from 2019 onwards. Yeah, you've really kind of embraced that AI and tech, and I think that's sort of what you got recognised for in those 10th position there for Inside Retail. So, mate, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing a little bit about your journey, e-commerce. Marketplace is obviously something that you're really strong in, and the future of e-commerce. Yeah, appreciate sharing some knowledge and wisdom. And if anyone is out there and wanting to utilize marketplaces better, get into some international markets, as Sam mentioned, yeah, I'll put the links to the show notes. I'll put the website link in the show notes, so you can just jump in there and click the link and get a conversation underway.
Thank you very much.
Beauty. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Appreciate anything else you wanted to touch on, mate, or is that we covered off everything?
I think that's covered pretty much everything. Yeah, so that was good.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I will